right, hello and welcome in, Vikings fans, to another 7-round mock draft for our favorite team, the Minnesota Vikings. This is version 4. We've done 3 of these. This is number 4, 4.0, whatever you want to call it. I do plan to do several more of these, so we're going to call this Mock Draft Monday going forward. So every Monday, expect a 7-round mock draft. Hopefully I can keep that promise going forward until we actually land on the real draft, because we have some time to kill. These are always fun to do. So before we begin, I do want to preface this with a couple of points. One, this is done using the PFF mock draft simulator, so it's the one that I like to use the most, so you're going to see that a lot. Number 2, obviously, if a player is not available at the time that I make a selection, I can't take them. That's just the way that this works. Number 3, if in the interest of transparency, I will always list the top 5 available at the time that I make a selection. That way it gives you, the viewer, more of an idea of what it was that I was looking at during making a selection, and then you can also chime in if you think that I missed someone, or whatever your critique may be. Number 4, this is just for fun. This is just, for practice. I understand that there's going to be selections and trades and players that I pass up that are not going to be favorable for a lot of people, and that is okay. This is just to create a discussion. This is to open up about our ideas about how to fix this team, players that we like, players that we don't like. So by all means, share your critiques, and we will have a discussion about it in the comments below. Having said all that, let's get to the good stuff. The top 10 we'll take a look at before we talk about the selections that I made, because it's an interesting top 10 for this simulation. Trevor Lawrence goes number 1 overall to Jacksonville. Zach Wilson goes to the Jets at 2. At number 3, the 49ers take Justin Fields. Atlanta takes Jaylen Waddle at 4th overall, which is an interesting choice. Cincinnati takes Jamar Chase. Miami takes Christian Darrisaw at 6 overall. That's interesting as well, passing on Penei Sewell. Detroit takes Devontae Smith. That is totally reasonable. Carolina takes Trey Lance. Denver takes Mac Jones. I don't know how Broncos fans would feel about that. And then Dallas gets the steal of the top 10, in my opinion, and Penei Sewell. Not taken in the top 10 is Kyle Trask, which is interesting. He goes to 12 to the Eagles. All right, so the Vikings are up at 14 overall. Best available at this selection were as follows: Micah Parsons, Rashawn Slater, Jaycee Horn, Christian Barmore, and Rashod Bateman. A great group of people, if I don't say so myself. However, before I begin, I do want to notice, or do want to point out, that you do see Micah Parsons and Rashawn Slater available at this spot, and we've talked about this previously, where another team trades up or another team takes Mac Jones, a 5th quarterback, in the top 13. That forces another good player at a different position down to us. So don't be surprised if that's what happens, and Vikings fans should be rooting for that to happen, because it could slide down another top player at a position of need to us. I mean, I could have been aggressive, traded up to the top 10, and got Penei Sewell. That is something that Mel Kiper, projected for us to do in his most recent mock draft, so don't rule that out. You want 5 quarterbacks going in the top 10 to drive down talent. Having said that, for this position, I'm going to trade down because I want more picks, and I need a 2nd-round pick, and that, I think, is where the best value is for us. So I'm going to make a trade with the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to take pick 14, pick 157. I am going to take pick 27, pick 58, and pick 104 from them. And then with the 27th overall pick, the best available players: Christian Barmore, Elijah Moore, Walker Little, Terrace Marshall, and Dillon Radunz. All excellent players. However, the guy that I'm looking for is down the list a little bit. So you scroll down, I find Alijah Vera-Tucker, and he is the selection. With the 27th overall pick in the 1st round, Alijah Vera-Tucker to the Minnesota Vikings, offensive tackle out of USC. I like his versatility. He can move inside to play guard. I think he's one of the more prominent offensive linemen available in the 1st round. If I had the choice, it would be either him or Sam Cosmi. Sam Cosmi was available. He will probably be a player whose name I call in future 7-round mock drafts, but for today, it's going to be Alijah Vera-Tucker. Moving on to the 2nd round, we now have a 2nd-round pick thanks to that previous trade with the Ravens of the 1st round, so we'll be picking at 26 in the 2nd, which is pick 58 overall. Best available at pick 58: Carlos Basham Jr., Jamar Johnson, Ronnie Perkins, Dimey Brown, Jabril Cox. A couple of options here. We could definitely go with Ronnie Perkins, the edge rusher out of Oklahoma. That's a guy that I think is potentially going to go early in the 2nd round. Dynamic player, fills a need for us. But instead of doing that, I'm going to continue to load up on offense in the offensive line because we're not attacking it in free agency yet. There's still cap money for that to happen, but I'm not sure how excited I would be with a Forrest Lamp or an Austin Blythe taking over at left guard. So I'm going to go with the 58th overall selection. The Vikings select Kendrick Green, the guard from Illinois. This is a guy that has been shooting up draft boards, slowly ascending over the offseason, and I think he would make a great fit for us. On the left side, 2 rookies on the left side is a little intimidating, a little scary, but that with that aforementioned versatility with Alijah Vera-Tucker, he could move in, play guard. Green could go over to the right side. Ezra Cleveland could play left tackle. There's definitely options that we could fit together in this puzzle that is this offensive line, and that is what I wanted to do here. Next, we have the 3rd round, moving on to pick 78 overall. Best available at this selection was Jamar Johnson, ArDarius Washington, Marvin Wilson, Jamin Davis, and Jamien Sherwood. A lot of safeties available. We addressed safety in free agency, so I don't feel that that is as much of a priority to make a selection for us in the 3rd round as I did in the past. But with the 78th overall pick, since I traded down and got some extra picks in the top 100, I'm going to take a luxury pick here. This is something that I think the Vikings have needed to do for a number of years, and that is spend a day 2 pick on a quarterback. The selection at 78 overall for me is going to be Jamie Newman, the quarterback from Georgia. He's a little bit of a raw prospect, opted out last year, so there are those concerns. But I think that this is the best situation for him and the Vikings. Kirk Cousins is definitely going to be the quarterback for this team for the foreseeable future. He can sit behind him, learn, continue to progress his game, and I think that that is a good scenario. This would be the same thing if we were to be in a position where Trey Lance falls to 14 overall, which is not going to happen. Not now. That dream is dead. Because Trey Lance is a little bit more of a raw prospect, albeit with better athletic traits. So Jamie Newman will be the de facto backup quarterback, or maybe even backup 3 if they decide to use some of that salary cap money that they still have on Sean Mannion to bring him back, which I think that they probably will before all is said and done. But Jake Browning will go back to the practice squad, so will Nate Stanley, or one of them will be cut. I don't think that any of those 2 guys are going to rise to the occasion anytime soon. So Jamie Newman is the selection at 78 overall. Next, we stay in the 3rd round with the 27th pick of the 3rd round, which is pick 90. Top 5 available, once again, is some familiar names: Jamar Johnson, Jamin Davis, Jamien Sherwood, Tay Gowan, and Josh Palmer. With this, I decided to take a future pick or something for depth, because behind Xavier Woods and Harrison Smith right now is just Josh Metellus. Yeah, we have a pretty good depth at corner, but I think I'm going to draft for the future, probably cut Josh Metellus. At this pick, I'm going to take Jamar Johnson, safety from Indiana, with the 90th overall selection. This will probably be the one that I get criticized the most for because of the Xavier Woods signing in free agency a couple of days ago, but I think this is good value. I think he's probably going to be picked higher than 90 overall. That's just my guess. And with Xavier Woods being on a 1-year deal, Harrison Smith currently, as of this recording, hasn't done a restructure, so he is in the last year of his deal. Both free agents staring us in the face at the same position heading into next season. A little bit scary. I get Jamar Johnson. That gives me at least a backup plan for next year. Plus, he's good enough where he could play if injuries happen, or even be available for dime and quarter packages. Moving on to the 3rd round, pick 41, which is 104 overall. This selection was acquired in the 1st round trade with the Ravens. Best available at this spot: Jamin Davis, Jamien Sherwood, Tay Gowan, Josh Miller, and Milton Williams. I'm going to go defense here once again, take best player available. I'm going to go with Davis, the linebacker from Kentucky, with the 104th overall pick. I don't know how I feel about Troy Dye at this stage. Anthony Barr's restructure makes him a free agent next year, so he's probably likely going to walk and test free agency. I want to get some better depth because we did not bring back Todd Davis. There was another linebacker whose name escapes me right now that I don't believe we brought back either. But either way, we need some depth. We need some insurance for next year. Eric Wilson, of course. He's not going to be retained. He's definitely going to sign somewhere else. So this is a depth/pick for the future, and I think Davis is a hell of a player anyway. He could definitely see some playing time, maybe even beat out Troy Dye in camp. Moving on to the next round, which is round 4, pick 10 overall, 115. I traded up to make this selection with the Dallas Cowboys, decided to move up from 119. Just because there was another guy on the list that I didn't want to risk not being there 10 picks later. So that is the trade. Best available at the 115th overall selection is once again Sherwood, Gowan, Palmer, Milton Williams, and Cade Johnson. The pick for this is not going to be any of those guys. I'm going back to the offensive line, and I'm going to Brady Christensen, the offensive tackle from BYU at the 115th overall selection. It makes sense because Rick Spielman was at the BYU Pro Day. This gives us another option offensive tackle other than Rashod Hill. You could even move Alijah Vera-Tucker inside, have Brady Christensen start on the right, move Brian O'Neill to the left, move Ezra Cleveland to the left. You see, we've got all this versatility here. We've got all these options now. So we're slowly building an offensive line where we can put whatever pieces we want together and hopefully find a formula that works. Not to mention Alijah Vera-Tucker in the first round is a very great player. So Brady Christensen is the selection here in the 4th. 10 picks later, we have the 125th overall selection. Once again, we have Sherwood, Gowan, Palmer, Milton Williams, and Cade Johnson. Nothing has changed as far as the top 5 best available, which was kind of weird through this whole process that you're going to see these names a lot. So I decided to go ahead and take a luxury pick. Yes, I know we just did sign Dalvin Tomlinson in free agency, who is a nose tackle masquerading as a 3-tech, but I feel like if run defense is the concern, let's make sure that we solidify it completely. We did not bring back Jaleel Johnson. We cut Jamar Stevens, so the selection at 125 overall for the Vikings is going to be Milton Williams, defensive tackle from Louisiana Tech. This is another guy that has been ascending up draft boards. I think he's also one of those best kept secrets that will be no longer come draft day. He definitely, I think, will go higher than this 4th round selection, but I'm happy to get him here. Next, we have the 29th pick in the 4th round, pick 134. Once again, all familiar names on the best available list, except for Jaelan Darden sneaks in as the in the top 5. I am going to take a receiver, but it's not going to be Palmer. It's not going to be Cade Johnson. It's not going to be Jaelan Darden. With the 134th overall selection, the Vikings select Cornell Powell, wide receiver from Clemson. Had a really good season. Teams have been talking about him. Analysts have been talking about him. Rising up draft boards. We need a wide receiver 3. You want to go into the season with your wide receiver 3 as Chad Beebe or BC Johnson? I know I don't. I want to at least give somebody a shot. So we're going to give Cornell Powell a shot to be the guy behind Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. Staying in round 4, pick 38, which is 143 overall. Best available at this selection was Gowan, Darden, Benjamin St-Juste, Khalil Herbert, and Justin Hillard. A couple of new faces. These are all good. But I'm going back to the offensive line. We're going to do an offensive line selection once again. So the selection at 143 overall for the Vikings is going to be Aaron Banks, guard from Notre Dame. Only because I don't trust Drew Samia. I don't want to do that. And if we do move over Ezra Cleveland, this is another option for the guard position. And I think that this is what we absolutely should be doing, is loading up. We also got Mason Cole in the trade. He's probably going to be the backup center. Usually with backup centers, they don't want the Vikings don't want them doing anything else other than being the backup center. It's just this weird thing, which is why Brett Jones never got a fair shake at the guard position. So we get more depth at guard, and I feel good about that for the final 4th round pick. Next, we move all the way to the 6th round. Don't have a 5th round pick in this scenario. So with pick 199, the best available are Robert Hainsey, Ernest Jones, Chancey Golston, Tariq Thompson, and Janarius Robinson. So for this selection, I decide to stay with the offense. Not going to take any of these top 5 guys, and I'm scrolling down the list. I'm looking for a running back because we lost Mike Boone. So with the 199th overall selection, Jamin Hawkins, running back from Louisville, is going to be the choice here. Compete with Amir Abdullah for running back 3-time. Plus, I feel like we need some depth. At least bring in a rookie to compete. If it's not a 6th or 7th round pick, make sure it's an undrafted free agent. With the final selection, we don't have a 7th round pick because we lost it due to the salary cap issue from a couple of years ago. So for this final pick, which is 223 overall, your top 5 available: Michael Manette, C.J. Vertle, Larry Roundtree, Tre McKitty, and Taron Jenkins. I'm going to go with the tight end position just because it's something that we could take a flyer on for this late in the draft. So with the 223rd overall pick, round 6, pick 39, Tre McKitty, the tight end from Georgia, who will come off the board and join the Vikings tight end group. I think that makes a good tight end group with Herb Smith Jr., Conklin, and now McKitty. That will do it for this 7-round mock draft. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Here is the final results. The grades by the PFF mock draft machine were not very nice to me for this mock draft, but I did what I wanted to do. That was build the offensive line, get some really solid pieces, get some depth at a couple of defensive spots, take some late round flyers on some offensive positions, and it all came together. It was definitely a tough draft, even with the extra picks that I traded down to get, because some of the talent has been moving up the boards. Free agency has changed a lot of other team needs. So as we saw there was a lot of safeties available throughout the 3rd and 4th round. But that's going to do it. Let me know what you think in the comments below, how we did, and what you would change, or if there's something that you don't like really at all, and we can always have a discussion about it. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.